All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling the story of Lance Armstrong.
Well, this is going to be good.
Yeah, it's a big one. And we're not just skimming the surface here. You guys gave us a ton of material on him. I mean, everything from his childhood to, well, where he is now. It's a lot to unpack.
What really gets me is how his life had this dramatic arc, even before the scandals and everything. It's like you see this intense drive right from the start.
Right, right. Like a hint of what's to come, both the amazing stuff and that, well, not so amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, rewind back to the beginning. Plano, Texas.
Humble beginnings.
Totally. Single mom, Linda Armstrong, working like crazy to provide for him. That had to shape him, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can practically draw a straight line from her work ethic to Lance's drive. That was his trademark, that determination.
And even as a kid, he's excelling at every sport he tries. Swimming, running.
And then, bam, he finds triathlon.
Wait, hold on. Professional triathlete at 16. That's not exactly typical.
Not at all. This kid was winning national championships at that age. It's insane. You can't deny the natural talent, but on top of that, he had this insane dedication. That's what set him apart.
And that dedication leads him to professional cycling in '92.
Joins the Motorola team.
Right, and we start seeing those early victories.
That aggressive style.
The one everyone would come to know. And he even wins the UCI World Road Race Championship in '93. But here's the thing that always gets me. Early on, he struggled with those longer races, like the Tour de France. Kind of ironic looking back.
Totally ironic. It's a point people forget. Here's this guy, obviously talented, but those grueling endurance races, the ones he'd become known for, they were a challenge for him.
So, like right off the bat, there are questions about him conquering those longer races. A little seed of doubt planted early.
Exactly. And, you know, it makes you wonder if those struggles, that frustration, if that played a part in the choices he made later. Did he feel like he needed, I don't know, something extra to compete at that level?
Man, that's a heavy thought. Something to keep in mind as we go through all this.
Definitely.
But before we get into all that, there's a huge turning point. The cancer diagnosis in '96. It's hard to even imagine, right?
I know.
25 years old, at the top of his game, and suddenly, stage 3 testicular cancer.
And it had spread. Lungs, abdomen, brain.
It's crazy. And what gets me is, from what I read, he was ignoring symptoms for months.
I know, right?
Laser focused on his career. This is a guy who pushed himself beyond limits, even when his body was screaming at him to stop.
Classic Lance, in a way. That drive, that relentlessness. But this time it almost cost him everything.
No kidding. The surgery, the chemo, the pure willpower to come back from that, it's unbelievable.
It's mind-blowing. But he comes out of it not just alive, but with this whole new outlook on life.
And this is where we see the birth of the Lance Armstrong the world fell in love with.
The survivor. The symbol of resilience, you know?
Exactly. He channels all that energy, all that fight back into cycling. But now there's this extra layer, this narrative of overcoming the impossible. And it resonated with people, you know, like on a deeply human level.
Totally. And then, on top of all that, there's the founding of the Livestrong Foundation.
Talk about resonating with people. That thing became a global phenomenon. Millions raised for cancer research, support for patients and families. It's hard to overstate the impact.
It's important to remember the context.
Yeah.
This isn't just about Lance anymore. It's about tapping into something universal, you know, like the human spirit, the ability to overcome. And he was that. He became a beacon of hope for people all over the world.
So you've got this incredible comeback story, but you've also got that little seed of doubt we talked about.
Lurking in the background.
It's like two stories running side by side, building towards something we all know is coming.
Oh, yeah. You can feel the tension building, this meteoric rise, this almost mythical image. But underneath it all, those whispers of doubt never really went away. And then, boom, the comeback kid does it. He's back in pro cycling in '98. And '99.
First Tour de France victory.
It's like the whole cycling world just stops and stares. Actually, it was way bigger than cycling.
Remember those early struggles we talked about? The doubts about whether he could really handle this long, brutal races?
Yeah.
Gone. He just crushed them. And not just win, dominate. He wins the Tour de France again and again and again, 7 times in a row. It was unbelievable.
This is when the Lance Armstrong legend really takes off. He's on magazine covers. That yellow jersey is everywhere. He becomes a global icon. But you know, those whispers, those doping accusations, they never really went away.
Yep, they stuck around, got even louder with each win, actually.
So while everyone's cheering him on, there's this whole other side to the story brewing.
It's crazy, right? Those whispers turn into some serious accusations. You had former teammates speaking out, suspicious blood tests.
Mm.
And then you had these journalists, the ones who wouldn't let it go. So it's like this weird split. The world sees this amazing athlete, but there's this feeling that something's not right.
It's like a dark cloud hanging over everything. And what's really interesting is how Armstrong reacts. He doesn't just deny it. He goes after anyone who questions him. Lawsuits, you name it, trying to shut everyone up.
There's that intensity again, that drive we were talking about, but now it's focused on protecting himself, his image.
It's like a battle between, like, truth and perception. And Armstrong's using everything he's got to control how people see him.
And for a while, it works. People believe him. But the truth has a way of coming out, right?
Uh-huh. And in 2012, that's when the USADA drops this massive report. It changes everything.
It was like a bomb went off. This report is intense, so detailed. It lays out this whole system of doping, implicating Armstrong and tons of people around him.
I mean, we're talking blood transfusions, EPO, testosterone patches. They even have people helping them cover it all up.
And what's so crazy about this report is that it's not just rumors, it's hard evidence.
You've got former teammates describing everything. They talk about the pressure to dope, being afraid to say no, all the tricks they use to hide it.
And the science behind all this is fascinating, like EPO, for example. It boosts your red blood cells. Basically, you can carry more oxygen, which is huge in endurance sports like cycling.
Yeah, it's like a turbocharge for your muscles.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a few guys doing it. The report shows it was widespread in cycling, like this unspoken rule that everyone had to dope to win.
So the USADA report blows the lid off all this, and the fallout is intense. Armstrong loses everything, those 7 Tour de France titles, stripped. He's banned from cycling for life, loses sponsors left and right. His reputation, totally shattered.
It's a classic story of what happens when you try to win at all costs. The higher you climb, the harder you fall. But then the story takes another twist. 2013, Armstrong sits down with Oprah.
And the world's watching, and he just comes out and says it. I doped.
He admits to using PEDs his entire career, including during all those Tour de France wins. It was a total shock. Some people were furious. Others were like, finally.
It was such a mixed bag of reactions. It makes you think about forgiveness, redemption. Can you separate the good things someone does from the bad?
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah, it's a question that sticks with you. I mean, how do you reconcile the two sides of Lance Armstrong, the guy who inspired millions fighting cancer, and then the cyclist who built his whole career on lies?
It really makes you think, here's this guy who, through Livestrong, helped so many people, raised awareness, money for research. You can't take that away from him. But he also achieved all that athletic success through cheating. It's like, how do you process that?
And looking at all the stuff you guys gave us, there's no easy answer. No one seems to agree on what his legacy really is.
It's messy. Makes you look at your own values.
Oh, so is it.
What's more important? Winning no matter what, or doing things the right way. Armstrong's story makes you think about all that.
It really does. And you see that in how people reacted to his confession. I mean, some people were crushed. They felt betrayed, like they'd been lied to. But some people, they were almost relieved, like, okay, at least it's out in the open now.
Yeah, like we can move on, learn from it, hopefully.
And for Armstrong, it seems like he's been trying to rebuild ever since. He's got his businesses, still supports cancer research, even has that podcast, right?
Yeah, The Forward.
Yeah.
I've listened to a few.
It's interesting. He talks to a lot of different people about resilience, taking responsibility. Seems like he's trying to figure things out, define himself beyond the scandal.
I think so. Like he's looking for redemption. Wants to use his voice for something positive. But who knows if he can really pull that off? Time will tell, I guess.
So I think what we're left with after this deep dive is more questions than answers, really. But maybe that's okay.
Maybe that's the whole point. Exploring a story like this is not about wrapping everything up neatly.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how complex it all is.
Yeah. It makes you think about human nature. Fame, fortune, the pressure to win, the choices we make, and how those choices affect not just us, but everyone around us.
It's a good reminder that even the biggest heroes, they're human. They make mistakes. And it's up to us to decide what to make of it all.
Well said. This has been quite a journey. Thanks to everyone for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Lance Armstrong. Keep digging into the sources you guys sent us and really think about what this story means to you. It's about so much more than just cycling. It's about us and what we value. Thanks again.